The Bible is filled with stories of angels, prophets, and miracles, tales that have shaped the faith of millions for centuries. But beyond the familiar narratives lies a hidden world, one where creatures of astonishing mystery lurk in the shadows. Beasts with scales like iron, beings with faces of fire, and giants that walked the earth before the great flood. These enigmatic figures challenge our understanding of the spiritual realm. Who are these strange and powerful beings, and why do they appear in Scripture? Are they simply myths, or do they reveal a deeper reality about the unseen world that lies just beyond our grasp? In this video, we'll journey through ancient texts to uncover the 10 most mysterious creatures in the Bible. From the terrifying Leviathan that rules the depths of the sea, to the fiery Seraphim that guard the very throne of God, each one has a story to tell, a story that might hold the key to understanding the vast and unseen world beyond our own. Stay with us as we explore their stories, their meanings, and their implications for believers today. The deeper we go, the more we realize that the mysteries of the Bible are as vast as the heavens themselves. Number 1 creature is Leviathan. Leviathan is one of the most fearsome creatures described in the Bible. Its name alone evokes images of a monstrous sea serpent, too terrifying for human eyes to behold. In the book of Job, chapter 41, Leviathan is described in detail. A creature with rows of fearsome teeth, scales like shields, and a breath that sets coals ablaze. Who can open the doors of its mouth, ringed about with fearsome teeth? Asked the Lord, emphasizing the creature's raw power. In Psalm 74:14, Leviathan is portrayed as a great sea beast, defeated by God, its flesh offered as food for the creatures of the wilderness. Isaiah 27 verse 1 speaks of a time when God, with his mighty sword, will slay Leviathan the gliding serpent, Leviathan the coiling serpent. He will slay the monster of the sea. The Leviathan symbolizes chaos, a primordial force that opposes God's order. In ancient cultures, such creatures often represented untamed waters, the forces of nature that threaten to overwhelm the world. But in the Bible, God's dominance over Leviathan is a powerful reminder of his supreme authority. When God challenges Job, he asks if anyone could tame Leviathan, implying that only he holds such power. It reassures believers that no force, no matter how wild or fearsome, lies beyond God's control. Number 2 is Behemoth. In the book of Job, chapter 40, verses 15 to 24, God presents the Behemoth, a creature of immense power that roams the land, unchallenged by any other. It is described as eating grass like an ox, yet its strength is unparalleled, with bones like bronze and limbs like bars of iron. Its tail sways like a mighty cedar, and it takes refuge among the reeds and riverbanks, untroubled by the raging waters around it. Look at Behemoth, which I made along with you, God tells Job, highlighting this creature as a marvel of divine creation, both awe-inspiring and mysterious. Behemoth is often seen as a symbol of the primitive power of nature, a reminder of the forces of the earth that lie beyond human control or understanding. Its presence in the Bible illustrates the vastness and wildness of God's creation, a living testament to his ability to shape the natural world in ways we cannot fathom. While Leviathan rules the chaotic depths of the sea, Behemoth stands as the embodiment of the strength of the land, a balance that displays God's mastery over all realms. Picture a vast creature, its back rising above the river's edge, a living embodiment of the earth's raw power, fearful, yet submissive only to its creator. Behemoth's presence in the scriptures is not just a testament to God's power, but a reminder that even the mightiest forces of the land bow before him, making it clear that he is the true ruler over all creation. Number 3 is Cherubim. In the Bible, cherubim are majestic and mysterious beings, described with stunning detail in Ezekiel 1 verse 4 to 14. These creatures possess a hybrid form. Each has 4 faces, those of a human, a lion, an ox, and an eagle, symbolizing the highest forms of creation. Their bodies are covered with wings, and underneath, they have hands like those of a human. Their wings touch one another as they move, allowing them to glide in any direction without turning. Ezekiel's vision describes them as surrounded by a radiance like burning coals of fire, and their movement is accompanied by a sound like rushing waters. This depiction reveals their majestic and otherworldly nature. Cherubim are more than just fascinating figures. They play critical roles in the Bible's narrative. In Genesis 3 verse 24, God places them at the entrance of the Garden of Eden, wielding a flaming sword to guard the way to the tree of life after Adam and Eve are expelled. Their presence here emphasizes their role as protectors of sacred spaces, ensuring that what is holy remains separate from what is profane. Symbolically, cherubim represent the mystery of God's glory and the complex nature of the spiritual realm. They are depicted in the Bible as carriers of God's divine presence, such as in the Ark of the Covenant, where they stretch their wings over the mercy seat. Number 4 is Seraphim. The Seraphim are among the most astonishing beings described in the Bible, appearing in Isaiah 6 verse 2-6 during the prophet's vision of God's throne room. These heavenly beings are depicted with 6 wings, 2 covering their faces, 2 covering their feet, and 2 for flight. Their very name, Seraphim, means burning ones, reflecting their fiery nature and their role as purifiers of God's holiness. In Isaiah's vision, they stand above the throne of God, calling out to one another, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts, the whole earth is full of his glory." Their voices cause the very foundations of the temple to shake, and the entire space is filled with smoke, emphasizing the overwhelming power of God's presence. The seraphim's role in Isaiah's vision highlights the purity and consuming nature of God's holiness. When Isaiah confesses his unworthiness, a seraph takes a live coal from the altar with tongs and touches it to Isaiah's lips, declaring, "Your guilt is taken away and your sin atoned for." This act symbolizes the purifying power of God's holiness and the transformative nature of encountering the divine. In the vision, flames flicker on wings as voices call out, shaking the temple's thresholds. These are not mere messengers, but living flames that guard God's throne, being so close to divine purity that they cannot look upon God's glory even as they serve in his presence. Number 5 is Azazil. Azazil appears in the Bible in the context of the Day of Atonement ritual, described in Leviticus 16 verse 8-10. On this solemn day, the high priest casts lots over 2 goats, one to be sacrificed to the Lord and the other to be sent into the wilderness for Azazil. The priest would lay his hands on the head of the goat destined for Azazil, symbolically transferring the sins of the people onto the animal. The goat, now burdened with these sins, would be led into the wilderness and released, carrying away the iniquities of Israel. The identity of Azazil has been a subject of theological debate for centuries. Some scholars interpret Azazil as a demonic figure, representing a force of evil to which sins are consigned. Others suggest that Azazil refers to a remote, desolate place where the goat is sent, symbolizing the complete removal of sin. There's also the view that Azazil is a metaphorical figure, representing the idea of casting out sin from the community. Spiritually, the ritual of Azazil emphasizes the profound concept of the scapegoat, the transferring of guilt onto an innocent substitute, which is then removed from the people. This act foreshadows the ultimate sacrifice of Christ, who bears humanity's sins. Even today, Azazil serves as a powerful symbol of God's mercy and the complete separation of sin from the believer. Number 6. The Horsemen of the Apocalypse. The 4 horsemen of the Apocalypse, as described in Revelation 6 verse 1-8, are some of the most striking and fearsome figures in biblical prophecy. They emerge as the Lamb opens the first 4 seals of a scroll, each horseman riding a different colored horse, representing a unique form of devastation that is to come upon the earth. The first rider, on a white horse, symbolizes conquest, or perhaps a false peace, wielding a bow and wearing a crown. The second rider, upon a fiery red horse, brings war and bloodshed, taking peace from the earth. The third horseman rides a black horse, carrying scales in his hand, a symbol of famine and economic collapse, where food becomes scarce and prices soar. The final rider, on a pale horse, represents death, with Hades following close behind, claiming a quarter of the earth through various calamities. These horsemen are more than just harbingers of disaster. They symbolize the progression of divine judgment, the consequences of human rebellion against God. Throughout Christian history, their imagery has inspired both fear and deep reflection, serving as a warning of the turmoil that accompanies the end times. In the apocalyptic vision, the sound of hooves thunders against the ground, each beat heralding a time of tribulation, a vision that challenges the hearts of those who witness it. The presence of the 4 horsemen reminds us of the seriousness of divine judgment, urging believers to turn toward faith and hope even amidst dark times. Number 7. The Locust from the Abyss. The locusts from the abyss, described in Revelation 9 verse 1 to 11, are among the most chilling creatures in the Bible. When the fifth trumpet is blown, a star falls from heaven, unlocking the abyss. From the dark smoke, these locusts emerge, beings with the faces of humans, hair like women, and teeth like lions. They have tails like scorpions, capable of inflicting intense pain, and their wings create a sound like the rushing of chariots. These creatures are not ordinary locusts. They are commanded not to harm the grass or plants, but instead to torment those without the seal of God on their foreheads for 5 months. Their appearance and actions serve as a terrifying aspect of divine judgment during the tribulation period. Unlike natural locusts that consume crops, these locusts inflict psychological and physical torment, pushing people to the brink of despair, yet not allowing them to die. It is a time of intense suffering for those who have rejected God. Number 8. Rahab. Rahab appears in the Bible not as a person, but as a symbol of chaos and defiance against God. Mentioned in passages like Job 26 verse 12 and Isaiah 51 verse 9, Rahab is depicted as a sea monster, subdued by God's mighty power. In Job, God's control over Rahab is part of a larger portrayal of his dominion over the cosmos. By his power he churned up the sea, by his wisdom he cut Rahab to pieces. This vivid imagery paints a picture of divine strength, overcoming the untamed and chaotic. Rahab is also used metaphorically for Egypt, particularly in passages where God's judgment and triumph over nations are highlighted. In Isaiah 51 verse 9, the prophet calls upon God to awaken his ancient strength, recalling the time when he cut Rahab to pieces and pierced the dragon. This symbolic connection shows that Rahab is more than just a mythical creature. It represents oppressive powers and cosmic disorder that challenge God's authority. The defeat of Rahab serves as a powerful reassurance for believers. It is a reminder that God's power extends over all realms, whether the physical or the spiritual. The subduing of Rahab symbolizes that no force of chaos or darkness is beyond God's control. Number 9. Satyrs. The term satyrs appears in a few places in the Bible, particularly in older translations like the King James Version. The references are tied to desolate and abandoned places where these mysterious creatures dwell. In Isaiah 13 verse 21, the prophecy against Babylon reads, "But wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there." Similarly, Isaiah 34 verse 14 speaks of the desolation of Edom, saying, "The wild beasts of the desert shall also meet with the wild beasts of the island, and the satyrs shall cry to his fellow, the screech owl also shall rest there." In the Bible, satyrs symbolize spiritual desolation and chaos, representing the presence of dark, primitive forces in places abandoned by God's order and presence. Number 10. Ofanim. The Ofanim, often referred to as wheels in the prophetic vision of Ezekiel, are celestial beings described in Ezekiel 1 verses 5 to 21. In this remarkable vision, the Ofanim appear as intricate wheels interwoven with another wheel, radiating with a luminous quality and covered in eyes all around. This depiction emphasizes their nature as beings of movement and perception, underscoring the omnipresence and omniscience of God. They move in concert with the cherubim, indicating a harmonious connection between God's throne and the cosmos. Their movements are described as being dictated by the spirit of the living creatures, illustrating a profound unity in God's divine purpose. The theological significance of the Ofanim extends beyond their physical description. They serve as a powerful representation of God's sovereignty over time and space, illustrating that He is ever present, guiding the flow of history and the unfolding of His divine plan. In essence, the Ofanim remind believers that God is not distant. He is actively involved in the world, moving through it with purpose and intention. In our exploration of these 10 mysterious creatures from the Bible, Leviathan, Behemoth, Cherubim, Seraphim, Azazil, the Horsemen of the Apocalypse, the Locusts from the Abyss, Rahab, Satyrs, and Ofanim, we've encountered a tapestry of majestic beings that evoke both wonder and fear. Each of these creatures serves as a powerful reminder of God's sovereignty and the intricate mysteries of His creation. While they may appear strange or terrifying, their ultimate purpose is to point us back to the Creator, who commands both the chaos of the sea and the strength of the land. I encourage you to delve deeper into these rich biblical narratives and share your thoughts on which creature intrigued you the most. Remember, within the pages of Scripture lie profound truths. revealing a reality that transcends our understanding, a divine mystery that invites us to seek and discover more about God's incredible creation.